Are these men guilty? Is it fair to accuse this girl? Have these women done anything wrong? Yes, says the United Nations Climate Panel. Man's use of fossil fuels is jeopardizing the future. So the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC for short, has put man on trial. The evidence consists of computer models showing that as this century proceeds, emissions of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere will lead to disastrous global warming. But a number of internationally acclaimed climatologists say it is far too early to put mankind on trial. The IPCC says that unless we reduce the rate of greenhouse gas emissions, the greenhouse effect will intensify and warm up our planet. Glaciers and polar ice caps will begin to melt. Rivers will burst their banks and sea levels will rise. The deserts will expand. If this United Nations Climate Panel scenario is correct, it will have wide-ranging consequences for people everywhere. But not all climatologists agree with these forecasts. Kyoto, Japan, 1997. Scientists and political leaders from all over the world met to debate the causes of global warming.
Excellencies, honored guests, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kyoto, to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change.
The Kyoto meeting concluded that we must limit CO2 emissions to prevent disaster. The IPCC based its conclusions on computer models that attempt to predict what will happen if we double CO2 emissions. The worst-case scenario shows increases of up to 5.8 degrees centigrade. If this happens, and temperatures run riot, mankind will be in serious trouble. But are the temperatures we're experiencing really so unusual? The warmth of the tropical ocean generates enormous amounts of water vapor, which is distributed to the rest of the world and falls as rain or snow. So water vapor, clouds, and precipitation play a decisive role in the climate throughout the atmosphere. The United Nations Climate Panel bases its scenarios on what will happen if we double the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. This would not only result in a climatic disaster. The calculations say that more carbon dioxide would also increase the amount of water in the atmosphere. It is this cocktail, more carbon dioxide and water, that according to the theory must lead to a greenhouse effect many times as great as carbon dioxide on its own. The trouble is, temperature increases in the atmosphere just don't seem to have happened to the degree that the models predict.
Computer simulations are the tool that's used to make forecasts of temperature into the future. And the latest forecasts have a huge range. They range from just over 1 degree centigrade to, my goodness, almost 6 degrees centigrade for the next 100 years. That large range immediately tells you that the models don't agree with each other and they're very uncertain.